Welcome to the channel. You know, the first time I saw John Gale play was on TV was the 2005 PokerStars Caribbean Adventure main event, which was also a WPT event at the time. John was the ideal unofficial spokesperson for millions of people who were just like him, just regular working people who back in 2005 just wanted to grab a piece of the ever-expanding poker tournament pie. His casual demeanor masked an incredibly competitive player who would, smile and joke with you 1 minute and ruthlessly go after your chips the next. I always felt that John didn't get the credit that he deserved. But more on John in a minute. Did you know that 90% of the people that watch this channel aren't subscribers? Many of you are repeat visitors, and I appreciate it. I appreciate your support of the channel. But it would help a great deal more if you took a minute to just click on the subscribe button and also click on the notify button if you want to be notified when we have more videos. But the subscription part and the like part and the comments part, that's what the AI bots at YouTube go absolutely ape over. They want to see the interaction, and it really helps the channel, and I really appreciate it. So thanks. Now back to Gale. John Gale was one of those success stories a lot of us who started playing more seriously after the boom started looked up to. He had a full life before taking up Texas Hold'em in 2004. Gale was born on December 13, 1953 in London. Not much is known about the young John Gale except that he was a go-getter, working first as a taxi driver, a real estate entrepreneur, and management consultant. He had a long interest in gaming but really didn't focus on poker until the early 2000s. Gale quickly became a formidable player through a natural ability for reading players and exceptional math skills. As mentioned earlier, he first gained attention in 2005 when he won the WPT PCA main event, taking home $890,000 in prize money. He also won 2 WSOP bracelets. In 2006, Gale's first came in the $2,500 pot limit Hold'em event. His second bracelet was in 2015, winning the $1,000 Turbo No Limit Hold'em event. Throughout his career, Gale accumulated over $3.8 million in live tournament earnings. Alongside his major titles, Gale secured numerous other final table appearances. In 2012, Gale was diagnosed with a brain tumor and eventually had surgery to remove it. His medical issues kept him away from the World Series for 3 years. When he returned in 2015 and he was asked about his absence, he remarked, "The last 3 years I've spent in and out of hospitals having all sorts of surgeries. I've missed the last 3 WSOPs and I've been miserable as hell every time. I'm just so thrilled to be back here even though my doctor told me I shouldn't fly. I said I'd compromise. I'll take a plane." In addition to the brain tumor, Gale also had open heart surgery while he was away. It was clear that he was in bad health, and he tried everything possible to get himself healthy to come back and play the game that he loved. Gentleman John Gale passed away at the age of 65 on November 18th, 2019. In an earlier episode, I touched on Michael Craig's book, The Professor, the Banker, and the Suicide King. The Suicide King being Ted Forrest, the banker being Andy Beal, and of course, the professor being Howard Lederer. Howard Lederer was a prominent figure in the world of poker with a mixed legacy. At the table, Howard has seen success and admiration for his analytical approach and disciplined play. Early on during the boom, Howard was one of those go-to guys that the networks would go to because he communicated very well and he explained game theory to a growing audience of, interested poker players, maybe not terribly knowledgeable, but they were interested, and Howard would communicate very well. The flip side, of course, was Howard's involvement in the FullTilt poker scandal and the impact that that scandal had on his reputation. Howard was born in Concord, New Hampshire on October 30th, 1964. He and sister Annie Duke were raised in a family that enjoyed competition in games. In addition to card games, Howard played chess while growing up. At the age of 18, Lederer moved to New York City, where he played chess until he discovered a passion for poker. He eventually became a member of the Mayfair Club. Howard's first taste of success at the World Series was in 1987. He took 5th place in the main event, taking away just over $56,000. In 1993, Howard moved to Las Vegas and played as a full-time professional, and over the next 17 years had a steady string of cashes in tournaments. He's won 2 WSOP bracelets. In 2000, he won the $5,000 Limit Omaha High-Low event, and in 2001, he won the bracelet for the $5,000 Deuce to 7 draw. He also won the WPT's 2002 World Poker Final at Foxwoods. In total, Howard has accumulated over $6.5 million in tournament earnings. All during this time, he was also playing in some of the highest cash games in Vegas. If you haven't checked out the book, The Professor, the Banker, and the Suicide King, that I mentioned earlier, it's worth your while. For many people, Howard's successes are overshadowed by the scandals that erupted around FullTilt Poker after Black Friday. In 2004, Lederer co-founded FullTilt Poker, the online poker platform that quickly became one of the most popular poker sites in the world. All seemed well for nearly 7 years until the United States Department of Justice charged Lederer and other executives with various offenses, including fraud and money laundering. Lederer was included in an amendment to a civil complaint filed by the New York State Attorney General as part of a group that the Attorney General accused of running a Ponzi scheme. The owners and so-called FullTilt pros received over $400 million since the site launched, while many players were unable to receive funds. This was the basis for the Ponzi accusation. Those listed in the complaint, including Lederer and fellow pro Chris Ferguson, believe that any issues related to non-payments to customers were related to mismanagement and not malice. Lederer eventually settled his case with the DOJ, paying a multi-million-dollar fine, but he admitted no wrongdoing. In 2016, he released a statement apologizing for his role in the FullTilt poker scandal, acknowledging his failures as an executive, and expressing remorse for the harm caused to the poker community. His apology received mixed reviews. Many people noted that he gave his apologies just days before showing up at the 2016 World Series of Poker. It was as if it was on a to-do list for Howard that he kind of checked off. Okay, I gotta remember to apologize before I get to the Rio. A lot of poker players looked at that. They didn't see a lot of sincerity in it. Howard has mostly gone off the poker radar since then. He reportedly still lives in Vegas. He doesn't live in the house that he had during the FullTilt poker heyday. That house and 2 other properties and a 1965 Shelby Cobra were sold in order to pay off his debt to the government. I liked Howard as a player and a commentator, but unfortunately he was, yet another one of those people that, they thought that their piss poor decisions would never come back to bite him in the ass. A lot of it is greed. A lot of it is just stupidity, to be, my own honest opinion. I think Chris Ferguson kind of falls into the same category. Both players thought an apology would, do the trick after many years, and a lot of people just don't forget. Amir Vahedi left his mark on the poker world with his outgoing personality and aggressive playing style. He was a person whose attitude and views on life came from an upbringing in a country torn apart by violent revolution. Amir was born on February 25, 1961 in Tehran, Iran. His youth was shaped by the Iranian Revolution. He served in the Iranian army during the Iran-Iraq War, and then, like thousands of others, Vahedi left his home country to search for a better life in America. Vahedi immigrated to the United States in 1989 and found himself enjoying playing poker at Los Angeles area casinos. Vahedi plugged along for most of the 90s, playing in those Los Angeles area casinos. By the late 90s, he was regularly cashing in tournaments. He was well known on the local scene, and he caught the attention of a certain Ben Affleck, who Vahedi helped tutor to improve Ben's game. 2003 was the major turning point in his career. He won his only WSOP bracelet in the $1,500 no-limit hold'em event. But what he's most remembered for that year is his 6th place finish in the main event. He earned $250,000 for that final table appearance. His best overall cash, according to the Hendon Mob, was in 2005 when he won the $1,455 limit hold'em event at the LA Poker Classic. That win earned him $446,000. Over his career, Amir amassed over $3.2 million in live tournament earnings. His passion for the game showed every time you saw him on TV, and it made him a fan favorite and a respected figure within the poker community. Tragically, Amir Vahedi passed away on January 8, 2010 at the age of 48. Yeah, he was pretty young. He passed away from complications related to diabetes. Remember when your favorite shows would have a recurring character that would only pop up every now and then? When they came on, you're so happy to see them because you could count on them to break up the monotony of the show. Colonel Flagg on MASH was an example of one of those characters for me. But for poker on TV, those recurring characters were guys like Johnny World Hennigan, Ted Forrest, and Paul the Truth Darden. There was a stretch of time between 2003 and 2008 when you'd mostly see the usual suspects and some one-hit wonders appear. But then you'd get a Darden episode, a tournament where Paul would be at the final table. Paul Darden was born in New Haven, Connecticut on October 27, 1968. He learned how to play poker in the back room of his father's pool hall. As a young man, he used poker as a catalyst to change his life after he was accused of and acquitted of a murder charge. During a trip to Atlantic City, Paul met Phil Ivey, and the two became fast friends, with Phil helping Paul improve his game. Like many pros from that late 1980s, early 1990s era, Paul was not known for Texas Hold'em, but he was a 7-card stud specialist. He won his only WSOP bracelet in the 2001 $2,500 7-card stud event. He followed that up with a WPT title at the 2002 Gold Rush tournament at the Lucky Chances Casino outside of San Francisco. In that tournament, he outlasted a final table that included Phil Hellmuth and this up-and-coming young player named Antonio Esfandiari. In 2003, he finished runner-up to Gus Hansen in the WPT Bad Boys of Poker event. During his career, Darden has over $2.1 million in live tournament earnings. In 2015, Paul announced that he had MS. He came to the Rio that year for the World Series, and he had to motor around in one of those scooter chair things. He was optimistic and continued to talk about the future and how much he wanted to continue to play. Since that time, I haven't seen him that much. Again, another one that's kind of dropped off the poker radar for the most part. There isn't a lot going on as far as, what he's doing now, where he's living now. If you have any information you want to share, by all means, please leave a note in the comment. As for Paul, he was always a treat to watch, and I certainly wish him well and hope the best for he and his family. Let's talk about Chainsaw. When I started this series, I was primarily focused on the pros we saw a lot of on television. But I also had guys like Alan Kessler in mind. While not exposed as much to the millions of casual fans who watched poker on TV during the 2000s, Chainsaw is well known and widely respected by those of us who follow all of the professionals, and not just the ones who may have been on TV a couple of times. Alan Kessler started his gambling career on the East Coast. While studying at Temple University in Philadelphia, Alan would play home games. He also frequented Atlantic City. During this time, poker wasn't readily available in Atlantic City, so Alan played machines. I can relate to this, as I lived in Philadelphia in the early 80s before I joined the Air Force, and I was one of the many people that used to ride what we used to call the Welfare Express. It was these charter buses that would pick people up in Philly, Camden, Newark. They'd take you to Atlantic City, you'd arrive, you'd get a coupon for lunch, you'd get a roll of quarters, and they'd send you on your way. I usually wouldn't bother with the lunch. I'd go straight for the blackjack tables. But, during the time, poker wasn't an option. When it did become an option in the 90s, Alan played, and he's been playing ever since. Back in Atlantic City, he would play with the likes of Cindy Violet, Johnny World Hennigan, and Phil Ivey. Chainsaw played mixed games in Atlantic City for nearly a decade before playing in his first WSOP in 2004. We've had a lot of players that have made maybe one or two big scores that we've featured in this series, but few can stand up to what Chainsaw has done over his career. Chainsaw is in the top 10 for all-time number of tournament cashes. He is joined on this list by luminaries such as Miami John Cernuto, TJ Cloutier, Kathy Liebert, and Men Nguyen. He has nearly $4.2 million in career tournament earnings. He has 3 WSOP circuit rings, and in the 2010 WSOP, Alan had more cashes than any other player, which is the interesting part about that is that he did it in 8 different disciplines. In 2013, he was the Player of the Year for the Heartland Poker Tour. Fun fact, when he's not playing poker, Chainsaw is an avid video poker player. He's a student of that game as well, and he's done quite well for himself over the years. Fun fact 2, the name Chainsaw originated in 2007, when on the Gavin Smith, Joe Seabach Poker Roadshow, they would play a chainsaw noise in the background when they discussed anything about Alan. I remember Chainsaw first from the 2+2 forums. Alan has always been an advocate for players, and in particular, the tournament structures and how tournament structures should be set up. He and tournament director Matt Savage would have frequent discussions / arguments about structures and ways to better them. I think Alan's always been an advocate for the game and for players' rights, and that's a really good thing. Where is Chainsaw now? Well, I'm happy to say that he frequently comments on this series, and as with all comments, I'm grateful for the contributions. And Alan still plays all the time. Look at his Hendon Mob or Global Poker Index stats to get an idea of just how much he still grinds. It's absolutely remarkable. If you want to follow him, Chainsaw is on Twitter. He also did a series on Poker News' YouTube page with reports from past WSOPs. It's very entertaining stuff, and I only hope he's going to be back again this year to play and provide reports. Well, that's it for episode number 9. Leave me names of players that you'd like to see profiled, and we'll try to get them into a future episode. And I will catch you on the next one.